Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is now about 7 o'clock in the evening, and today is Tuesday, 14th of May 2024. This is our first detailed YouTube upload on the subject matter of the CPA board examination in business law. And in an earlier display, I have broken down the module, the core syllabus on the CPA board examination covering business law into 4 modules. And they include the obligations and contracts, banking, and then we have the corporation and other business laws. And in obligations and contracts, we have divided this into 4 modules. We will deal with separately in uploads and obligations, another module on contracts, another module on sales, and we may separate or combine the discussion on consumer protection, unfair competition, and data privacy. This comprises the 4 modules under the obligations and contracts grouping. The second grouping has something to do with banking, and we will cover the following subject matter: secrecy of bank deposits, the anti-money laundering law. This will may be handled separately. As a matter of fact, there are already separate YouTubes for the bar examinations. On this one, it's available. But I will design simplified modules earmarked for the CPA board examination so that our CPA candidates don't get so heavy a load that are earmarked for the bar candidates. Now, the second grouping under banking will talk about checks, and then the trouble when a bank is declared closed by the Bangko Sentral and the Philippine Deposit Insurance Corporation takes over. We will also have a separate module for e-commerce because e-commerce will have a significant impact on banking. And since a particular what you call this depositor has already opened his bank and he is using his checking account, we will now go into the third component of his dealing with the bank where he borrows money. And we will talk about credit as well as the subsidiary or supporting security contracts of pledge and mortgage, which is covered by either the real estate mortgage or the chattel mortgage. And we'll talk about the Truth in Lending Act, which will cover the concept of interest expense, the limits of interest, unconscionable interest, and all those terms related to borrowing money from the bank. And we have included in the banking insurance because insurance in reality is funds management, where a particular insurance company says, I will pay you if a fortuitous event should destroy your property. I will reimburse you for the replacement cost of your property. And I will collect from you, of course, a smaller fee. That the fee I am collecting from you is smaller than the total loss that you will incur. And so, if you're a businessman, you say, why will you do that? Because I have a mechanism where I will probably get 100 of you. And by the law of probabilities, not all of you, 100 will have your property burned or your vessels or ships sinking or your motor vehicle stolen or damaged. Or even in the case of life insurance, if 100 of you were to insure all at the same time, because of the law on probability, not all of you will die in one day. Probably not all of you will even die in 1 month or 1 year. And so if I were to determine how much do I have to pay all of you, but since you will not die all at the same time, I will spread, the amount of money that I have to pay you and charge you the corresponding interest. And I collect that while some of you are dying, I pay you, but some will continue to pay without even dying until I'm able to save on them. And of course, the monies that I save, I also put in investment in stocks and bonds in order to earn interest and dividends incomes to allow the insurance fund to grow. And so by way of probability theory, I'll be able to build a greater uh, amount of funds that would allow me to pay in totality a big liability, but when you program it based on probability theory, it becomes manageable. So this particular slide will cover insurance, and we will go back to the others as we go along. And so now we will start with insurance, and we will break down insurance into its components. Insurance can be divided into these components of talk of the concept of insurance, the elements of insurance, and the nature of insurance. We will even have a schematic diagram on the elements of insurance for you to be able to appreciate what insurance is all about. And then we go to the fundamental concept that you cannot, since insurance is a contract of indemnity or reimbursement of loss, you cannot lose something if you don't own something. And so this is where the ownership of assets, property, or rights can be given monetary value. And you can now say that this particular property can be lost. And so I'm interested in my asset. That is the interest component. It is not the interest that you charge on a loan. This interest is your interest in your asset, that you do not want your asset to get lost. That is because you will lose your ownership, which is your interest in that property, in your asset, in your right. And you're concerned that should it get lost, because the civil law does not provide any reimbursement for you for fortuitous event, unless there is somebody who's willing to absorb that loss and reimburse you. And that's exactly the business of the insurance company. The insurance company will say, if you lose that particular property, you can recover that when I come in to reimburse you. And that kind of relationship that we will establish, that I will reimburse you for the loss that will suffer arising from a fortuitous event, provided you pay me, uh, during the period that you have not suffered the loss. So there is a quid pro quo, there is an exchange of values. I pay you when you suffer the loss, but while you are not suffering the loss, you pay me a smaller amount, which is called premiums. Your concern that you need reimbursement for the loss of your property is what is called your interest that you want to insure, or term it insurable interest. And if I promise to reimburse you at the time you suffer the loss, meanwhile I collect my compensation so that I can say, I can accumulate all of those monies among those who are equally insured like you, so that I can get into a pool of money that I can pay you at a certain time. That kind of collection that you pay me as the insurer is called the premium. And of course, I need to know you and you need to know me. You need to trust me that I will honor my promise to you. And that is because I am a registered insurance company under the regulation of the Philippine Insurance Commission. On the other hand, I should also make sure that I can trust you, that you will not cheat me, so that I do not suffer, tremendous amount of payment to you that is in accordance with my own estimate based on probability theory in actuarial science. Okay. So this is the entire coverage of our discussion on insurance. To start the ball rolling, after we have already discussed in summary, the concept, let us take a look at how insurance is structured. This is the schematic diagram. Any person may have his own assets or property or right in the form of either buildings, whether they are their house and lot, or they have office building, condominium building, hotels, or offices. They can have boats or ships that can use for either transporting or passenger or cargo as common carriers. Or you can have vehicles or even luxury buildings in your possession. And so you are owner. And so that therefore you have an asset, you have your property, and you have your right over these assets. And you can now say therefore that you have that specific ownership interest in that you do not want this particularly to get lost. And if it, in the event that it gets lost, then you would expect that you get back the value of your loss. So you want a reimbursement of that loss. But under the CPA code, it says, if a fortuitous event should destroy your property, nobody helps you because nobody is liable for any loss that is arising from events that cannot be foreseen or not foreseen or inevitable unless the nature of the obligation is precisely to reimburse you for the loss. That is the business of the insurance company. The insurance company says nobody is responsible for reimbursing you for your loss. But let me enter into that business. That if you have a property that you suffer the loss of that property to a risk, or an event, a fortuitous event that we will agree on, then I will reimburse you. Okay, so that's the deal. It's a conditional obligation for me to pay you to reimburse you. And in exchange, you promise me that before you suffer the loss, you pay me a certain sum of money that will allow me to save the money so that when the event comes, I pay you. But the beautiful thing about that is the amount of money I will collect from you is not big enough, that the amount of money that you will get back from me as a reimbursement will be smaller than the amount of premium you pay me. And so you say, why can you do that? Because I will get more of you who are in the same situation as having property that can be lost by fire, that can be lost by sinking of the ship, or the loss of the cargo, or the damage to the motor vehicle, or even the loss of life. On the basic principle that if I get 100 people, this 100 people, if I use probability theory, will not all die at the same time in one day. That they will die based on statistics, the probabilities under actuarial science. They will die at certain cyclical timing. And so while others will die earlier and others will die later, some buildings will get to be burned and others will be burned later. Or some buildings may not even burn at all. But all of them will be paying contribution because of the probability that if they should get their building burned, I will be the one to pay them. And the amount of money I will pay them is the accumulation of all the premiums that they will pay. And so I need to compute if all of them I have to pay, how much will I collect from them by dividing the total loss by the amount and knowing that I don't have to pay them at the same time and the use of probability. So that is the essential, sabihin na natin, racket of an insurance business. So you have the asset and you cannot insure anything where you do not have an asset which you want to for which any loss you want to recover. That is what you call your insurable interest. No person can ever enter into an insurance where he has no asset, where he has no property that he will lose. Because the principle of insurance is reimbursement, no, for the loss. And therefore, if you have no property that you own, you don't lose anything. So you are not a subject matter of insurance because there is no chance of loss. Now, the second one is, if therefore you want to be reimbursed, and I will be the insurance company that will reimburse you, I will spread the cost of paying all of you over the number of amounts I have to pay over a period of time. And I will keep collecting from all of you during the time that the risk of being burned or of losing your property is happening. And so I will charge you premium and you pay me that as the insurance company premium in exchange for my conditional obligation. What is the conditional obligation? Your building may get fired, may burn. Your ship may sink. Your car may be destroyed. And when this particular condition were to happen that we can agree on, then my obligation to reimburse you, which is conditional on happening of that, will now happen. And so that brings up now the event that will make me liable for you. It is a fortuitous event, an act of God or an act of man that interfaces with your property, that causes the loss of your property. And so as the owner of that property possessing insurable interest, you suffer a loss. And when you suffer a loss arising from this fortuitous event, that is when, as an insurance company, my conditional obligation to pay you is now transformed into a resolutory obligation to pay you. Doon ako kailangan magbayad sa iyo. Kung sabay-sabay ko yung masusunog, wala ako ibabayad kasi yung premium na kukolektahin ko sa inyo hindi sufisyente. But by the law of probability, hindi naman kayo lahat masusunog. Lalo na if you follow the commitments or warranties that you're supposed to meet. Otherwise, I cannot pay you because I will not be able to collect the amount of premium that I need to gather and collect in order to have the money that I need to pay to you. Having said that, therefore, let us now summarize what do we mean by insurance. Insurance is an agreement where the insurance company undertakes for a consideration, that is the premium, to indemnify, to pay, to reimburse the insured against loss, damage, or liability arising from an unknown or contingent event. So the key here is that there is a meeting of minds as an agreement. That the owner of the property, the owner of the building, the owner of the ship, suffers a loss. And if she suffers a loss arising from an agreed unknown or contingent event, then the insurance company makes payment, reimburse it. Yun ang deal. This is one of the rare occasions where the happening of a fortuitous event becomes a liability of one of the contracting parties. The danger of loss, damage, or liability arising from fortuitous event. It says under Article 1174 of the Civil Code, no person shall be responsible for those events which could not be foreseen or which though foreseen were inevitable. So not even an insurance company is liable. But there is an exception to that provision. It says, except in cases expressly specified by law or when it is otherwise declared by stipulation. Mag-usap kayo agreement. Or when the nature of the obligation requires the assumption of risk. Kayo na pumapasok. Because the insurance company's business is to assume the risk, that kung masusunugan ka, i-reimburse kita dun sa value ng building sunog. Kung namatay ka, i-reimburse ko ikaw para yung mga beneficiary mo hindi naman mawawala ng pera para mabuhay. And so what are the components of an insurance contract? Once you have a property that represents your insurable interest, because you own the property, then you have a premium that you have to pay the insurance company so he can make your commitments to pay you. And obviously, it will be a mutually agreed agreement, contract, where the insurance company will consent to protect you and you will agree naman that this is the insurance company to whom you pay the premium because you trust that if the loss happens, he will pay you. Now, having said that, therefore, what is the nature of an insurance contract? An insurance allows individuals and organizations to transfer the risk of potential loss to an insurance company. So you are no longer bothered, no, both psychologically, mentally, and financially, that you may lose your building because of fire, because of earthquake, because of storm, and so on. Because somebody will reimburse you for that loss. With the use of probability theory in actuarial science, an insurance company can spread and therefore reduce the probable impact of the risk insured against in exchange for lower premiums. Because hindi naman lahat mangyayari sabay-sabay. Therefore, that is where the business of insurance comes into the picture. What are the classes of insurance? You have two general classes, the general non-life insurance and the life insurance. In the non-life insurance, you have your marine insurance, which covers the insurance on the ship, which you call the hull. And therefore, you have a marine hull insurance and the cargoes that you load as a common carrier on the ship itself. No? So you have a marine cargo insurance. So there are two kinds of marine insurance. And you have, of course, your fire insurance. And if you are given a trick question, what about earthquake? Where does it fall? The earthquake does not fall in any type of insurance except if the fire insurance were to include, dapat sinama nakalagay, including earthquake. So, pag tinanong ka, if you have an earthquake, can you have an insurance beforehand to protect you against an earthquake? The answer is yes. You do not have a separate earthquake insurance. If you have a fire insurance, you make sure that among the risk enumerated is earthquake insurance. So, insured ka by fire and you will now include earthquake. Obviously, the insurance company will charge you a little more premium arising from the inclusion of the earthquake. So, hindi nagkasunog, pero lumindol. And so, you can now, nasira yung building mo, you can now invoke your fire insurance provided the earthquake situation was included in your fire insurance. Kung yung kakalimutan, trick question yun. Bibigyan kayo ng problem na nasira yung building due to earthquake. Tatanong, can you now cover? Unang-una, if you have no fire insurance, no, you cannot recover because the earthquake insurance is included in fire insurance. And second, the earthquake insurance should have included the earthquake risk. No? So, dalawang kondisyon. Dapat may fire insurance ka. Second, may earthquake kasama dun sa fire insurance. And you are paying premium, corresponding premium for the earthquake portion of your fire insurance. Of course, your motor vehicle liability insurance, dito may tinatawag na third-party liability, baka makasangga ka. Or there is such a thing as comprehensive insurance that any damage to your car would be covered by reimbursement of your insurance coverage. Now, very, very important. May kaba ako baka ibibigay ito. In the case of motor vehicle liability insurance, there is such a thing as no fault indemnity. Under Article 378 of the Insurance Code, it says, an insurance company may be held liable without the necessity of proving fault or negligence of any kind. This actually happened to me as counsel. Somebody came to me and said the son, a very little boy of about 6 years old, was run over by a delivery truck of a company. So hindi this is not a common carrier, private carrier ito. Nasagasaan. Buhay pa pero sa ospital namatay. Now I asked the parents of the child, how much would you, mahirap naman sila, so how much you think you should recover? Sabi sa akin, attorney, kahit na magkano pera, if you are given 50,000 ka, would you be happy with it already? Oo, attorney, malaking bagay na yun. Mako-cover ho yung living, mura lang naman, just public, meron pa kami maiipon. Sabi ko, I promise you, in 2 weeks time, you will have your 50,000. In what this time they got it? Why? Because the lawyer knows this provision. And I already am aware that there is a comprehensive motor vehicle liability of the guilty owner, of course, with the driver. So I already got that, and we went into the insurance company. And I said, Mr. Insurance Company, this particular client of yours, insured party, overrun my client, and the client is dead. So without any proving any of their negligence, I am invoking the no-fault indemnity. You pay us 50,000. Kasama yung father and mother. And within the day, we got the check for 50,000. Sabi ko, ayan nakako yung 50,000 nyo. Nagawa ko ng trabaho ko. Ano? Hindi happy na sila. First time nila nakatikim ng 50,000. But I know my job. And so we filed the criminal and civil action for reckless imprudence resulting to homicide. And siyempre liable is the owner. We asked for 800,000. Ang laki naman daw, pwede raw bang 200. Sige, baba natin half a million. At the end of the day, we got 350,000. So plus the 50,000, 400,000, hinihingi lang ng kliyente ko sa akin 50,000. So sabi ko, kung lumapit kayo sa akin pro bono, ngayon meron na kayong pera, baka naman pwedeng kumpitin na natin yung minimum attorney's fee ko. Bigyan nyo lang ako, barya-barya. 50,000 ka ako yung aking acceptance fee. Maliit pa akong sumingit. Saka kamag-anak related. Tapos ka ako, 2 hearings ka ako, isa sa police. Tapos isa rin sa korte, nung nagkaroon tayo ng pre-trial conference at nagkaroon na amicable settlement. So, 5,000 times 2, 10,000. So, kako, kung 400,000, 10% ng 40, kalahati na, para 15%, 60 ka ako. O sige, round up niya na sa 50,000 na acceptance fee ko. Yun contingency success fee pa yun, 15%. Sabi ko, sige, pag-isahin nyo na lang. 50,000 na lang para acceptance fee. Contingency success fee pa, pwede naman. Ayaw magbayad. Biro mo, hinihingi lang sa akin 50,000, naibigay ko na kaya 50,000, nadagdagan pa. Ayaw magbayad. Hirap. Hirap ng buhay ng abogado talaga. So this is what happened, no fault indemnity. Kaya mo sa insurance company, ito comprehensive, no fault. Sige, hindi na. So we have no obligation to prove to you na liable yung iyong kliyente. Basta itong proof, death certificate, nakasagasa yun, naka-insure na. Kung na natin litigation, 50,000 na natin. Ngayon, bayad. So that is your no-fault indemnity as part of the nature and element of insurance contract. So punta na nga tayo sa ownership of property which comprises your insurable interest. Ito na. Natapos na tayo first component ng insurance, second component ng insurance, insurable interest. Ito. What is insurable interest? Insurable interest is the financial stake in any person, event, or property that may incur a monetary loss. Kaya if you own a building, meron kang taya doon, yun ang financial stake, taya, that you may incur a loss. Baka masunog yung building. Mawawala ka ng building. So a person is insurable interest in an asset, property, or right whose destruction, loss, theft, or damage could result in a monetary loss. Yun, ang panggagalingan nang mawawala yung asset mo, yung property mo, yung right mo. Yung building mo, yung barko mo, yung kotse mo, yung bahay mo. An insurance can take place when the proposed insured, no insurance rather, can take place when the proposed insured has no insurable interest. The insurance company cannot be obligated to compensate him when there is no occasion when he will ever suffer a financial loss. So pag may nagpa-insure, wala naman pala siyang property na ini-insure, no? Tapos sasabihin niya, nasunog yung building ng kapitbahay ko, naka-insure ako, pwede bang gamitin yung insurance ko? Hindi. Kasi insurance mo, wala namang building na naka-insure sa insurance mo. So your insurance is void ab initio because it has no property against which you can suffer a loss where we can now reimburse you. Ganun kasimple yun. So the insurance coverage, assuming nagkapirmaan, is void ab initio in the absence of a subject matter, which is the insurable interest, that is the ownership of a property or a right. Now, here is a very interesting thing na pwedeng tanungin. Ito tinatanong sa bar exams. Baka lang makatuwaan, no, na itanong sa CPA. Kung hindi mo alam, okay lang yan. Maraming hindi nakakaalam. Pero kung alam mo, tsamba ito, no? Pang CPA top notcher ito. Kasi pang-bar ito, baka tanungin lang. No? What happens now kung in-insure yung kabit? In other words, ito very clear. Ang usapan nito, kasal, marriage. Yung babaeng in-insure, yung asawa, kasal, meron bang insurable interest yung kasal na asawa? Meron. Kasi pag namatay yung lalaki, no, mawawalan siya ng hanap buhay. Ito na ngayon ang magandang tanong. Kung yung kabit, namatay din yung yung asawa, yung lalaki. Mawawalan ba yung kabit? Mawawalan din. Kasi meron din siyang suporta eh. Okay. So meron siya theoretically na insurable interest. Tandaan nyo ha, theoretically, even the common law wife has a insurable interest. Mawawalan din siya. Now, but what are the provisions now of the law? Kaya kumisan, mahirap yung gagamitin mo yung common sense, hula-hula. That is the reason why you have to study the law. Because there are certain laws na hindi mag-a-apply kasi merong mas logical na application ng law. Let's take a look. A common law spouse has insurable interest in the partner because she may incur a monetary loss upon his death. So, trick question. Tatanungin, does a common law spouse have an insurable interest? Your answer is yes. Because the common law wife will suffer a monetary loss consisting of the financial report given to her by the common law husband. Now, therefore, kung merong insurable interest, meron palang puhunan yung common law wife na maging beneficiary. Second issue, the designation of the common law wife as the beneficiary in life insurance is void. Bakit? May insurable interest naman ah. Okay. The answer is, the designation amounts to a void donation. So, the moment the common law wife is designated as the beneficiary, that is an act of donation. And that particular act of donation is void under the law. Because under Article 739 of the Civil Code it says, those made between persons who were guilty of adultery or concubinage at the time of the donation, those made between persons found guilty of the same criminal offense in consideration thereof would comprise a void donation. So pag merong adultery or concubinage, hindi sila pwedeng magbigayan sa bawat isa. Okay. Theoretically also in the Civil Code, even married couples cannot donate to each other except that a married spouse can be the beneficiary of a life insurance. Tandaan niyo yan. Very, very tricky. So common law, may insurable interest, yes. Kung gawin siyang beneficiary, valid ba yung designation beneficiary? The answer is no. Because the designation of the beneficiary is an act of donation. And the act of donation to an adulterous person with the donor being a partner in the adultery is void by reason of the provision of the Civil Code that prevents donation among parties who are involved with adultery or concubinage. Meron isang trick question sa bar na ayoko sanang i-share sa inyo, baka maguluhan kayo eh. But the question is something to do with this. when, for example, a married man was having an affair with a common law wife, then namatay yung legal wife. Of course, pag pinakasalan yung common law, mag-asawa na sila, pwede na maging donor. Pero what happens now, if ginawang beneficiary yung common law wife after the death of the husband, of the legal wife? Ang tanong, will the designation of the common law wife, common law pa rin kasi hindi pa rin pinakasalan, will be a valid donation? Kasi yung adultery, nagsimula nung buhay pa yung asawa. And ang question is, nung namatay ba yung asawa, wala nang adultery doon sa hindi rin sila kasal. Ang concept kasi ng adultery, when a woman, married woman, is having sexual relationship with the man who's not his married spouse, married husband. So, ito, kung yung babae, single, she cannot commit adultery. No? Because she's not a married woman. So therefore, lalo nang hindi adultery, kung hindi, kaya lang, kung buhay yung yung legal wife, the man is committing concubinage. Kung nakaka-live-in doon sa common law. Kung hindi naman naka-live-in, walang concubinage. Pero kung naka-live-in, may concubinage. Okay. Nung buhay pa yung asawa. Ngayon, nung namatay na yung asawa, tinuloy nila yung kanilang relationship, live-in. Tapos nun niya dinesignate na beneficiary. I submit that in that particular regard, at the time that the legal wife was alive and the relationship was going on, the common law woman is not committing adultery because if she's single. Dahil yung adultery revolves around a married woman committing sexual intercourse with a man, not her married husband. So kung single siya, hindi siya committing adultery. Pero kung yung lalaki buhay yung asawa, pagkatapos naka-live-in sila, wala siyang adultery pero yung lalaki may concubinage. So hindi siya rin pwedeng mag-donate kung buhay pa yung asawa at nagli-live-in sila na common. So ang mahirap kung namatay na yung asawa. Tsaka nga yung ginawa niyang beneficiary in life insurance. I would submit, there will be a continuing absence of the woman having intercourse with a man, not her spouse. At kung patay na yung asawa ng lalaki, wala na rin concubinage. So wala nang restriction that both of them are committing adultery or concubinage after the death of the legal wife. So ang tingin ko dito, yun napakahirap ng problem yun. And I will pray, hindi bigay sa inyo sa CPA kasi pang-bar exam siya. Pero hinuhulaan ko yan, ibibigay sa bar exam. Kaya ititip ko yan doon sa aking bar examination reviewees. At pag lumabas, alam na natin ang answer. Okay? So that is a beautiful thing. Pero pag lumabas sa inyo, bonus yun. At ng examiner nyo, siguro mahilig talaga sa civil law at ibinigay. Wala namang, hindi naman exempted yun dahil it will be covered under insurance, hindi under family code. Okay. Next, yung question ng insurable interest of a mortgagee and mortgagor. Tandaan nyo yung mortgagor, yung nagsasangla. Hindi ka pwede magsangla kung wala kang utang. Pangalawa, kaya ka nagsasangla kasi meron kang property na pwede mong isangla. So the mortgagor is also the property owner. And the mortgagee happens to be the creditor. Siya nagpautang. Sa kanya sinangla. So let's find out. Emilio owns a car which he purchased from Gregorio. Emilio agreed to pay Gregorio the balance of the purchase price in the amount of 500,000 within 1 year. To secure the payment of the balance, Emilio and Gregorio executed a security agreement that complies with the requirements of the Personal Property Security Act. So ito yung chattel mortgage law. The security interest was also perfected in accordance with PPSA, who has insurable interest over the car. Yung may-ari na si Emilio, who was the one who borrowed money and mortgaged his car. Or yung nagpautang na sa kanya sinangla yung kotse. Let's find out. The mortgagor and the mortgagee have each an insurable interest in the property mortgage. And this interest is separate and distinct from the offer. Consequently, insurance taken by one in his own name only and in his favor alone does not inure to the benefit of the other. So ano sinasabi? Ito, under the case of Palileo versus Cosio, it says when a mortgagee, ito yung inutangan, independently of the mortgager, yung may-ari ng property yung sinanla, insures the mortgage property in his own name and for his own interest as a mortgagee. No? Mortgagee siya, sa makatwid hindi siya may-ari, siya yung pinagkakautangan. He is entitled to the insurance proceeds in case of loss. But in such a case, he is not allowed to retain his claim against the mortgagor, but is passed by subrogation to the insurer to the extent of the money he paid. So, dito, 500,000, no? Property, the car might be worth, who knows, 1 million. So, sabi niya, Emilio, he owns a car, no? Sabi niya kay Gregorio, may utang pa ako sa iyo 500,000 eh. Sabi ni Gregorio, hindi mo pa nababayaran, pwede ba isang lamo under a real estate mortgage yung kotse mo, 500,000. O sige. Now, remember, under a chattel mortgage, there will be a document executed, a chattel mortgage agreement. And this will be registered with the Registry of Chattel Mortgage, which is the same as registry, registrar, bakit ba nakakalimutan ko? Yung Register of Deeds. Wala na may pupuntahan eh. Doon ka rin pupunta sa Register of Deeds doing the duty of a Registry of Chattel Mortgage. Okay. So pag nakasanglaya, may kontrata, may agreement, mayroong chattel mortgage agreement, tapos sinurrender sa Registry of Deeds, binding yun in writing. Ito na ngayon. Ikaw ngayon si Gregorio. Ikaw si Gregorio na ikaw yung dating may-ari na may utang pa sa'yo. So nung sinangla when the car was mortgaged to you, you are the beneficiary of that car. That if that particular buyer, Emilio, cannot pay, you can foreclose the mortgage, sell that car at public auction and get the 500,000. Kung napagbentahan na 800,000, you get 500, you return the 300 to Emilio. Okay? Now, so do you have insurable interest? Yes. Your insurable interest is the value of the car equivalent to the obligation that it is securing, 500,000. Ngayon, ang tanong, si Emilio, siya na may-ari ngayon. Although may utang siya na 500,000. Pwede ba niyang isang layon for 1 million? The answer is, pwede ba niya insure? Yes, siya may-ari. Siya yung mortgagor owner. Pwede niyang isang lot. But remember, both of them have different insurable interest. Yung nagpautang, no, si Gregorio, ang interest niya, mabayaran yung utang. Kasi kung hindi mababayaran, ang insurable interest niya doon sa kotse, pwede niya ibenta yung kotse. That he has a right to sell that so that the proceeds will go to him. Yun ang kanyang insurable interest. Kapag nawala yung kotse, mawawalan siya ng maibebenta para pambayad dun sa utang sa kanya. Yun namang may-ari, the owner, has insurable interest as owner. The moment the car is lost, he has lost it forever. No? Ang sinasabi lang, if both the mortgagor mortgagor owner, and the mortgagee creditor were to insure it in their own respective names. They cannot recover. They can recover separately. But if the mortgagor, yung mismong nagsangla, nawalan siya ng nawalan siya ng kotse. Under the civil code, the laws of the security will make the loan due and demandable immediately under the acceleration clause. So kung nakarecover siya ng 1 million doon sa insurance company, the insurance, he's now obligated to pay 500,000 to the mortgagee. Sa yun ang utang niya. Kung yun naman si mortgagee, ang nakakuha ng pera, no? And yung perang yung pambayad sa utang sa kanya, he now gets to subrogate yung loan sa kanya to the insurance company so that the insurance company can recover the 500,000 from the original, from the owner of the property who is the one who mortgage the property. Okay? So yun. So that covers now yung mga possible questions sa insurable interest. I am not sure that some of these will come out because they are quite difficult for a CPA board examination in commercial law. Pang bar exam. Pero malay mo, sino ba na magsabing hindi sila pwedeng magbigay ng mahirap na question? So if it comes out, you can answer. Hindi ka masisiro. So we now move on to the second element of insurance, which is premium. Ito, napakagandang concept. No? Ang premium, tandaan nyo, is the price or consideration of a contract. Diba? Sa contract, mayroong element. Subject matter, yun yung insurable interest. And then the price, that is the premium. And finally, yung concept. No? The three elements of a contract. In this time, insurance. Ngayon yung premium, no? Ito napakaganda ang concept. Ang kinokolektang premium, kailangan ng insurance company yun para maipon niya na pag nangyari, pasamot-samot yung happening of the loss, meron siyang pambayad. Okay. So pag hindi mo binayaran yung insurance, ay yung premium, wala siyang pambayad. Pasisira yung mekanismo. So let's take a look now at premium. Ito, there is a very, very interesting aspect of premium payment. Number one, premium is the amount, that is the contract consideration, that an insured party pays to the insurance company, which provides the coverage against the agreed loss. Kaya nangungulekta siya, yun ang pambayad niya kung mangyayari insurance. Marami nagpa-insure, marami siya makukolekta, makakaipon siya, pambayad ng isa na nasunukan, isa na namatay, isa na lumubog yung bato. Okay. Hindi lahat siya. May dulo. Ayan. An insurer is entitled to payment of premium as soon as the thing insured is exposed to the peril insured against. Notwithstanding any agreement to the contrary, no policy or contract of insurance issued by an insurance company is valid and binding unless and until the premium thereof has been paid. So no payment of premium, no insurance will take it. Except, ito na, in the case of a life or industrial life policy, whenever the grace period provision applies. Kasi pag life or industrial life, pwedeng magkaroon ng deferred payment plan. Or whenever under the broker and agency agreements with duly licensed intermediaries, may mga agent, agreements with duly licensed a 90-day credit extension is given. Yung 90-day either formal credit or in-issue cover note. Yung cover note, ina-acknowledge na binayaran kahit walang bayad. Good again for 90 days. Okay. No credit extension to a duly licensed intermediary should exceed 90 days from the date of issuance of the policy. Yung 90-day cover note, kung yung agent na nag-issue. Pero kung nag-issue yung head office, no, there is no restriction on the 90 days. Kasi pwedeng dinadaya yun, ay hindi, kakampi nun naka-insure. So that is the limitation. No? Be very careful. Okay. Now, next. What is the cash and carry rule under the insurance code? Tandaan nyo, cash and carry rule, nagpa-insure ka sa akin, insured ka kung binayaran mo ko. Yun ang cash and carry rule. Pero because of the cash and carry rule, ang intindi, yung premium bayad in cash. Let's take a look if it is correct. It says, no policy or contract of insurance issued by an insurance company is valid and binding unless and until the premium thereof has been paid despite any agreement to the contrary. I'll be very honest with you. I've been a student of insurance law for a long, long time. Undergraduate pa. Meron pa akong subject sa financial, sa Department of Finance na sa undergrad, na insurance din. Tapos nag-aral pa ako ng insurance under the college. So tatlong subject ko sa insurance. No? But I will be very candid with you. I have always been confused by what it means to say premium has been paid. And this particular lecture with you finally clarifies the confusion. Bantayan nyo. Napakaganda ng concept na hindi pwedeng gamitan ng common sense. Kasi kung sinasabi na may walang bayad, walang insurance. May bayad, may insurance. Ito na ngayon ang pinakamatinding question. Paano kung binayaran, cheque? Cheque tumalbog. Yun. Kasi ang cheque, pag hindi na in cash, hindi bayad under the provision of banking. Diba? Ito ngayon insurance, another special law. Tingnan natin kung ano sasabihin. There are exceptions on the cash and carry rule. Number 1, in case of life or industrial life policy, whenever the grace period provision applies. So dito, na kumuha ng life insurance, dahil nga malaki yung premium na babayaran, pwedeng bigyan ng grace period, no? Even on the first payment. O sige, bayaran mo 60 days. Namatay within 60 days, no? Valid ba yung policy? Yes. Basta pirmado yung policy. At nakalagay doon, may grace period na 60 days. Covered. Of course, sa talagang procedure, babayaran insurance company. Pagkabayad, may pera ka na, bayaran mo na yung premium. Bayaran mo na buong buo, hindi lang yung installment. Okay. Second, where the insurer acknowledges in the policy or contract of insurance itself the receipt of premium, even if premium has not been actually paid. Ito na ngayon yung cover note. And this is a recent decision, no? 2021 ito. Ang sinasabi, dun sa insurance policy, no, nakalagay, bayad na. Bayad na. Tapos may nakadikit cover note, bayad na. Sabi. Pero hindi pa bayad. Kasi kailangan meron nga yun, 90 days yung sinabi. Now, at the time na may cover note, namatay, binding ba yung insurance policy? The answer is no. Yes, the insurance is binding. The cover note is the act of the payment itself. Yan ang sinasabi. Yun ang bayad. Nang inissue yung cover note, inissue ng insurance company, yun ang tinatanggap na bayad under the law on insurance, a special law. Hindi applicable yun sa lahat kundi sa lang, sa insurance. Third, where the parties agree that premium payment shall be installments and the partial payment has been made at the time of loss. For example, merong usapan na premium, say 500,000, 600,000, 100,000 no, every month. Pagkatapos, no, nabayaran na yung first premium. After the first month, hindi pa bayad yung yung second premium, which is tigwa 100 for 5 months. So 500 pa. 100 na bayaran. Is the insurance policy binding? Is the coverage binding? And is the insurance company bound to pay? The answer is yes. Kasi when there is an agreed installment payment, pag sinabi niyang, yan ang bayad ko, installment. The installment commitment comprises already bayad. No, nung sinabi na, may utang ako sa iyo, tanggapin mo. Yung promise ng utang, yun na yung bayad na tinanggap ng insurance company. Pero merong isang rule, dapat daw bayad yung first installment. Pag hindi bayad yung first installment, hindi binding. Pero dapat bayad kung installment ang usapan. Now, ano naman mangyayari? May utang na 600,000 after after 1 month, namatay, no? May utang pa na 500, no? Dapat bayaran. 5 million yung, yung proceeds. So, kaya, yan ang 5 million. And then the insurance company say, may utang ka sa amin, 500,000. Kukunin out of the proceeds, no? Yun, pag installment payment. Okay. When the insurer granted the insured a credit term for the payment of premium, and loss occurs before the expiration of the term. Hawig din yun sa installment. Yung installment sinasabi yung periodic payment over a period of time. Dito, sasabihin, sige, meron kang utang good for, say, 60 days. Talagang may agreement. Nakapirma. Okay. Yung pagkakapirma ng commitment, no, promissory note na 60 days, that is the act of payment. Kahit walang pera, basta may binigay na pangako, that is an act of payment. And if that is accepted by the insurance company, tapos namatay, binding, dapat bayad ang proceeds of insurance. Ayun, decision ng Supreme Court yan. Okay. And finally, when the insurance is in Estoppel, as when it has consistently granted a 60 to 90-day credit term for the payment of premiums. Di ba yung insurance policy, renewable yun every year. Noong nakaraang taon, binayaran niya within 90 days. Renewed, no? Retroactive, January 1. Ngayon, nag-renew siya. Ang presumption, no, kahit walang pinag-usapan sa second year, kung nung first year, normal na nagbibigay ng 60 to 90 days, that is presumed to be also the terms and conditions of the second year renewal. And so, kung namatay within the 90-day period, that particular insurance policy is deemed to have already been paid because of the existence of the credit term of 60 to 90 days. Okay, yun ang mga ano. So ano ang concept dito? Yung payment does not strictly mean cash basis. Kapag ka yung payment ginawang paiyakan, installment, basta tinanggap ng insurance company yung manifestation of payment, either cheque, 60 days, promissory note, 60 days, cover note, 60 days, 90 days, no? Pumirma dun sa insurance contract, nakalagay installment for 6 months. Again, the act of the installment acknowledged by the insurance company is considered payment. Kaya yung mamaya, natin, nagbayad ng postdated check. No? Tumalbog yung postdated check. No? Namatay bago nung nakapending yung postdated check, no? 90-day postdated check. Namatay on the 30th day. Yung ba recoverable, hindi pa na-encash yung check? Yes. Kasi the payment of the check, regardless of the date of the check, is already deemed payment for purposes of starting the term of the insurance contract. Mas liberal ang interpretation ng payment sa insurance. Not applicable to other instances except to insurance. Pag nagbayad ka ng utang mo postdated, hindi ka pa rin bayad. So yun ang general rule. Pagdating sa insurance, pag nagbayad ka kahit na hindi pa na-encash dahil postdated, bayad ka na for purposes of having the insurance. Why? Because the purpose of insurance is protection. And the protection of the insured is liberally construed by the law. That is not true for ordinary obligations. Okay? Now, ito na ngayon. Non-payment of premiums and installment. Pag-usapan na natin. Peninsula Insurance Company offered to insure Francis a brand new car against all risks in the sum of 1 million for 1 year. The policy was issued with the premium fixed at 60,000 payable in 6 months. 6 times 6 is 36 in premium. Yung coverage is 1 million. Kung ba, 6 times 6, 36. 360 lang yung binayad niya. Kung may mangyari, 1 million. Tubo siya. Francis only paid the first 2 monthly installments. Despite demands, he failed to pay the subsequent installments. 5 months after the issuance of the policy, 6 months lang yun, no, yung installment. So meron siyang backlog na ilan? 6 minus 2 is 4. the vehicle was carnap. Francis filed with the insurance company a claim for its value. However, the company denied this claim on the ground that he failed to pay the premiums resulting in the cancellation of the policy. Can Francis recover from the Peninsula Insurance? Ito, pag hindi nag-aral, sigurado ang sagot nito, cancel yung insurance. Dahil yun ang normal terms and conditions pag normal obligation. Dito tingnan nyo iba. Dito hindi kinakancel yung insurance. It says, yes, Francis can recover because he accepted the terms of the credit. The accepted credit term constitutes the payment. You know, yung credit term ang payment for the valid and binding contract insurance. Pinag-usapan nila, nasabi nila, payable in 6 months. Yung mutual agreement nila na 6 months, that comprises the payment. Nung sinabi niya, pwede ba 6 months? Tinanggap ng kumpanya, ng insurance, 6 months. That agreement becomes the payment itself. Yan, wala niyan sa ibang ano. That is not under the concept of obligations and contracts because insurance law is a special law. A special law prevails over a general law. So wag mong gagamitin ito sa general obligations and contracts. In the same way, na yung obligations and contracts, hindi na susundin kung hindi ito dahil special law ito. Yan ang importante. Kaya kung minsan, sasabihin ng mga estudyante sa akin, hinalay ko muna ng bar, Dean, bakit tama naman yung sagot ko? Bumagsak ako. Bakit tama? Dean, post-dated check, hindi pa na-cut, walang insurance. Tatawa na lang ako. Kasi sinasagot niya using the general principle of civil law. Ang applicable special law which is under insurance. Sa loob ko, kahit 10 beses kang kumuha at yan ang sagot mo, hindi ka papasa. Kung baliktad, binigay sa civil law, post-dated check, for example, binayad mo. Ginamit mo yung principle sa insurance. No? Na ako paying the post-dated check, already fully pays the obligation. Todas ka na naman. Hindi pwede. That's the reason why you study law. No? Because the law for a particular situation may not be the same as the general law. Okay? Kaya yung iba, kukuha ng CPA, kukuha ng bar, sasabihin, tama namang answer. Ano ginamit? Common sense. Hindi, kaya ka nag-aaral ng batas kasi ang batas may sariling sense na pinag-isipan ng mga gumawa ng batas na yan. Kaya hindi mo pwedeng inventuhin yung sarili mong common sense para isagot yan sa examination. But he must pay the remaining premium before. Yes, parati ko sinasabi. Dahil meron pa rin siyang balanse. Yung pino-concept natin na no person shall be unjust in which at the expense of another. Meron pa rin siyang utang. Babayaran pa rin niya. Pero babayaran naman siya ng mas malaking premium, ng malaking proceeds. Peninsula Insurance shall pay because there is a valid and binding insurance contract arising from the tender of payment through the mutual acceptance of the credit term. Yan. Decided yan. Jaime Gaisano versus Development Insurance 2017. No? Earlier, yung Makati Tuscany. Ito, landmark decision to. Monumento to, Makati Tuscany. 1992 decision. Consistent with Section 77 of the Insurance Code. Ito na ngayon yung undated check. Ito undated. Kumisan magiging post-dated. Basahin natin. On September 25, 2023, Danny Marshall procured an insurance on his life with a face value of $5 million from RM Insurance Company with his wife Tina Marshall as sole beneficiary. On the same day, Danny issued an undated check to RN for the full amount of the premium. On October 1, tinan nyo yung data on the same day, September 25. On October 1, 2023, no, RN issued a policy covering Danny's life insurance. So yun, merong insurance sa in-issue policy. On October 5, Danny met a tragic accident and died. Tina claimed the insurance benefit, but RN was quick to deny the claim because at the time of Danny's death, the check was not yet encashed, and therefore the premium remained unpaid. Is RN correct? Will an answer be same if the check is dated October 15? Kaya namatay siya October 5. Okay? Now, tingnan natin. RN, insurance is not correct. The insurer already accept payment by way of the undated check. Undated, tinanggap niya, bayad na yun. Okay. So that the insurance coverage was already in place regardless of the date of the check payment. So walang date, namatay na October 5. Bayad. Because, dinate October 15, bayad pa rin. Bayad pa rin. Kasi, ang ako receiving it no September 25, doon nagkabayaran. No? The check itself is payment, whether it was in cash or not, or whether funded or not. So that completes our discussion on premium. And finally, pupunta tayo sa element of consent. Ito, napakaganda. Napakaganda at sigurado may question dito, lalo sa life insurance. The contract of insurance requires utmost good faith or what is called jubere may fide. Ito pwedeng itanong. What is jubere may fide? Jubere may fide is a Latin term that simply means utmost good faith. And by the doctrine of utmost good faith is a minimum standard legally obliging all parties entering a contract to act honestly and not mislead or withhold critical information from one another. Concealment prevents the insurance company to determine the extent of risk involved and could not compute the appropriate premium to charge. Kasi the computation of the premium is really delikado sa buong concept ng insurance. Dahil kung hindi mo makompute yung tamang premium, hindi mo makokolekta yung tamang amount that will satisfy the loss that is scheduled. Okay? Concealment in life insurance. Concealment is in the neglect to communicate that which a party knows and ought to communicate. Dito, no, neglect ang pinag-uusapan. And so the element of whether the failure to communicate is intentional or unintentional becomes irrelevant. Ang sinag-uusapan ba? Sinadya mo ba? Hindi ko sinasadya. So, hindi mo sinasadya. So, ang issue is, kung sinadya mo, may neglect ba? Siyempre, may neglect. Kung hindi mo sinasadya, may neglect ka ba? May neglect pa rin. Ibig sabihin, nakakalimutan mong sabihin. Kung intentional or unintentional, walang pinag-uusapan. Basta neglect to communicate is concealment. Okay. A concealment, whether intentional or intentional, entitles the injured party to rescind the contract of insurance. Tandaan nyo, pag hindi dinisclose noong insured party, the insurance company can cancel and say void ab initio the insurance contract. Each party to a contract of insurance must communicate to the other in good faith all facts within his knowledge which are material to the contract and as to which he makes no warranty, and if the other has not the means of ascertaining. Wala siyang paraan para malaman. And this is referring to the insurance company. Bantayan nyo yan mamaya kasi meron tayong tinatawag na contestable at incontestable period sa life insurance. Yan, yung means of ascertaining. Now, concealment in life insurance. Example na binigay. X insured his life for 20 million. X plays golf and regularly exercises every day, hence is considered in good health. He did not know, however, that his frequent headache is really caused by his being hypertensive. In his application form of a life insurance for himself, he did not put a check to the question if he is suffering from hypertension, believing that because of his active lifestyle, being hypertensive is a remote possibility. While playing golf one day, X collapsed at the fairway and was declared dead on arrival at the hospital. His death certificate stated that X suffered a massive heart attack. Will the beneficiary of X be entitled to the proceeds of life insurance under the circumstances despite the non-disclosure that he is hypertensive at the time of application? Okay. Sagot, yes. Ex-beneficiary is entitled to his life insurance proceeds. Said insurance is valid because there was no concealment. Wala. There was no neglect to communicate that which a party knows and not omit. Very clear naman eh. Hindi naman niya alam na hypertensive siya. Nahihilo-hilo lang siya. No? And there is nothing on the concealment na dapat nagpatingin siya. Walang ganun. Wala siyang alam, no? Sabi, because there was no concealment, X did not disclose the hypertension that he did not know. How can he disclose hypertension? Di naman niya alam. And so here, he is not guilty of concealment. He can recover. And that decided in 2009 in the Lalican versus Insular Life. Now, ito na ngayon ang isa sa napaka-unique in the field of law, and this is unique in life insurance. After a policy of life insurance made payable on the death of the insured shall have been enforced during the lifetime of the insured for a period of 2 years from the date of its issue or of its last reinstatement, the insurer cannot prove that the policy is void ab initio or is rescindable by reason of fraudulent concealment or misrepresentation of the insured or his agent. Yeah. Now, clarify natin. In all types of insurance, and remember, mas maraming non-life. If there is something about your boat, pina-insure mo, alam mo pala na nagloloko yung motor. Alam mo pala na may kinakalawang na ng konti yung flooring. So yun, alam mo, dapat hindi mo itago yun sa insurer. Pag yung barko lumubog dahil doon, may concealment ka, void yung marine insurance. Ganun din sa fire. Yung palang fire, alam mo na in-insure mo, defective yung electrical wiring. Dapat naman, of course, in-inspect ng insurance company. Pero assuming hindi in-inspect, pero alam nung may-ari na meron ng spark yun. And later on, na-discover, alam na pala niya, why? Sinabi nung electrician niya Sinabi ko na, okay boss, may spark yan. That will now avoid the insurance kasi may concealment. Okay, now, pagdating sa life insurance, may konting pakonsuelo. According to life insurance as a policy, if the insured party neglected to communicate something about himself, so may concealment, the insurance company is given 2 years to discover the concealment. Sa makatwid, no, kung may concealment on day 1, hindi ka agad void, katulad ng fire insurance o marine insurance, yung kontrata. Valid yung contract until ma-discover nung insurance company yung sakit noong nagpa-insure. Obligasyon ng insurance company to find out yung concealment tungkol sa health niya within 2 years. Pag na-discover niya within 2 years na may sakit yun, no? 2-year period, no? January 1, 2004. So 2005, 2006. December 2006. Yun ang period na 2 years na dapat mahuli ng insurance company. Why? Kasi mga insurance companies, mga life insurance companies, may mga medical, may mga doktor yan na mag-examine. May mga investigador yan, no? So, pwedeng magtanong-tanong at open naman sa life insurance, you are required to allow the insurance company to check on your doctors in the hospitals. So, pwedeng tanongin. Okay. So, pag nalaman nila within the 2-year period, no, na may sakit, then they will cancel the insurance policy. Tandaan nyo, within 2 years, pak. Ang critical diyan, papaano kung namatay within the 2-year period? Ayan, medyo may debate kasi yan kasi merong phrase na lifetime of the insured. I have always submitted a position that the benefit of the 2 years belongs to the insurance company. Na kung hindi namatay yung insured at hindi na-discover ng insurance company, then valid yung insurance policy. Dahil hindi nyo na-discover yung concealment. Okay. Kung na-discover niya yung concealment at buhay pa yung insured, cancel yung insurance company, di ba? Ng insurance company. Ito ang pinakadelikadong tanong. Paano nagpa-insure? Wala pa yung 2 years. Hindi pa na-discover ng insurance company. Namatay. Let's say 6 months, na-atake sa puso. Nung in-autopsy, yung palang sakit sa puso, existing na yon at the time na kumuha ng insurance. Patay na. Here is where the debate starts getting in. May mga decision ng Supreme Court dahil daw hindi ra na-discover bago namatay, hindi na pwedeng i-cancel ang insurance. Pero there is also a series of decisions of the Supreme Court na sinabi, pwede kasi na-discover within the 2-year period. Patay o hindi patay. Yung isa sinasabi, na-discover within the 2-year period, pero dapat buhay. My position is, the 2-year period belongs to the insurance company. Kaya kung namatay within the 2-year period, madi-discover ng insurance company. Sabi, anong kinamatay niyan? O di may autopsy. Di malalaman. Hindi niya sinabi na concealment. So, kahit napatay na, pwedeng i-declare na insurance company na void by concealment. That is my position and I will always insist on that because the benefit of the 2-year period belongs to the insurance company. Okay? So yun, within the ang tawag doon, contestable period of 2 years at pag na-discover ng insurance company, patay o hindi patay yung insured, pwedeng kanselahin ng insurance company. My argument is very simple. Kung let's say nagpa-insure yung tao January 1, binayaran niya yung premiums, for example, January 2. Okay? Nag-issue na ng policy ng January 1. Pagkatapos namatay siya January 5. Ibig mong sabihin, ang insurance company magbabayad ng 5 million. Kung 10 yun, 50 million ay babayad ng insurance company. Naubos na yung pera ng insurance company under that. And people will be attracted to conceal. Yan. Kaya, whether it is 1 year, 1 day, 2 days, or short of the 2 years, basta namatay yung tao, no, at ang dahilan, meron siyang tinago na sakit. Therefore, the insurance company can cancel the insurance policy and will not be held liable. I will always take that position. Yan ay position ko doon sa isang YouTube. I will reiterate the position that if the death of the insured happens within the contestable 2-year period and the cause of the death is because of an ailment that was concealed, the insurance company continues to be entitled to declare that particular policy void ab initio. So yun ang tinatawag na contestable period in life insurance. Ito na maganda. Ito for the benefit of the insurance company. Pero, binibigyan ng 2 years yung insurance company to discover with all of its resources. Ito na ngayon. Lumampas na yung 2-year period. Tapos namatay yung insured after the 2-year period arising from an ailment that was concealed. Here is where the principle of incontestability clause comes in. The insurance policy says that if the insurance has been in effect for more than 2 years and the death of the insured is arising from an ailment that was the subject matter of concealment, there can no longer be a contest by the insurance company. Kaya incontestability clause. Beyond the 2-year period, any cause of death will no longer allow the insurance company to cancel the contract. Tandaan nyo within the 2-year period, ma-discover ng insurance company, dead or alive, void ab initio ang insurance policy. Beyond the 2-year period, whatever is the cause of death, hindi na pwedeng i-declare ng insurance companies void. Incontestable na after the 2-year period. Yan, that will be given. Now, whenever a right to rescind a contract of insurance is given to the insurer by any provision of this chapter, such right must be exercised previous to the commencement of an action on the contract. This one is very, very, very difficult, both for the CPA and the bar examination. Paano ito? Kung hindi nyo matandaan ito, huwag kayong maguguluhan. You use this as a marginal knowledge. Kung ma-master nyo ito at lumabas yan, okay. Ganito ang sitwasyon dito. Let us say, lumampas na yung 2-year period. At this particular point, safe na yung insurance company na, safe na yung insured party na hindi pwedeng cancelain ng insurance company kahit may concealment. No, itong incontestability clause pabor doon sa insured. Okay. Yung contestable pabor yon sa insurance company. Itong madiscover for cancellation yung incontestability pabor sa insured. So anong rule natin? Pagka yung concealment, no, merong concealment after na-discover after the 2-year period, no, safe na yung insured, mababayad na insurance company. Pero merong fine point ito. Let us say ngayon, tinago niya, meron na pala isang sakit sa puso. Pero lumusot siya within the 2-year period. Hindi na ngayon pwedeng mag-cancel yung insurance company. Hindi na pwedeng mag-cancel. Okay, eto na ngayon. Ang very fine point. Pagkamatay nung insured, dapat mag-file ng claim kagad yung beneficiary. Kasi pag nag-file na ng claim yung beneficiary, the insurance company can no longer invoke kasi doon papasok yung incontestable na. Nag-file na ng claim incontestable na. Pero for example, lumampas na yung 2-year period, na-discovery pa din ng insurance company yung concealment. Wala pang file ng claim. That point, beyond the 2-year period, pwede pa rin i-file ng concealment and therefore cancellation ng kontrata, yung insurance, because hindi pa nagpa-file ng claim. Because under the law, without any demand, there is no obligation yet that is in place. Kaya dapat, kung ikaw ang mag-anak mo yun, huwag mong kalimutan yung life insurance policy. I-file mo kaagad on the day after namatay ang tatay mo or yung mismong araw ng pagkamatay. Pag pinalampas mo yan at dineclare ng insurance company na may kinunsil yan at hindi ka pa nagkiklaim, baka lumusot. It becomes a contestable. It becomes a subject matter that can become litigious. Pwedeng pag-awayan sa korte. So dapat kasi dito sinasabi Section 48 at supported by the decision of the Sun Life of Canada versus Sibia in 2016. Dapat daw mag-file kaagad yung beneficiary ng claim, no, bago mag-declare yung para hindi na magalaw yung incontestability clause. Okay? Ito, Diego, a cancer survivor, filed an application for a life insurance policy with Garantia Insurance Company. He delivered his application and insurance premium to Gabriela, the officer of GIC in charge of approving life insurance policies. Gabriela then approved the application of Diego on June 1, 2020. On January 30, 2023, Diego died in a vehicular accident. When the heirs of Diego claimed the insurance proceeds, GIC denied the claim on the ground that Diego had concealed the fact of his illness, yung cancer niya. Moreover, Gabriela knew about the illness of Diego but also concealed it from GIC. Is the denial of the insurance claim by GIC proper. Okay. So dito, may cancer siya. Ngayon, supposedly, naka-recover siya, no? Nag-survive siya, nag-apply siya ngayon for insurance. At sinabi niya, so there is no concealment. Tapos namatay siya, 2022, June 1, ano? So June 1, 20, 21, 22, 2 years. No? June 2, 22. Namatay siya June 30, 2023. So lampas na yung 2-year contestable period. So, hindi na pwedeng questionin ng insurance company. So, in this particular regard, incontestable na ito. No? At the same time, hindi naman niya kinonceal eh. Sinabi niya nagkaroon siya ng cancer. Kasi tatanungin yun sa application. Okay? So here is now the suggested answer. Lipat na natin yung picture ko dito sa baba. No GIC insurance denial is not proper. Diego's life insurance coverage is correctly in place because he did not commit any concealment. We discussed it. He even disclosed his cancer with Gabriela, a GIC responsible officer. And dagdag, no, lumampas na sa contestable period. No, dahil 2 years ng June 1, 2020, 2021, 1 year, 2022, 2 years, and 2023 na ito. So, lampas na sa 2-year grace period. Okay? Now, our final discussion is warranties. Yung warranties naman, sinasabi na hindi ito concealment. Yung concealment, tinago eh. Ito naman sinasabi, kailangan gawin nyo. You have to do this for the insurance company to be bound by the insurance contract. That any violation of the warranty will allow the insurance company to cancel the contract. Okay, ano yung unang-una? Sa fire insurance, meron tinatawag na other insurance clause. Sa other insurance clause, nakakamag-anak no double insurance. Ganito ang parating standard feature sa tawag dito sa fire insurance. Ang fire insurance, ang gusto niya, isa lang ang insurance company. Kasi, pagka nag-double insurance company, may temptation na magpapa-insure ka sa isa na yung value noon maaaring eksakto na sa value ng building. Kukuha ka pa ng isang insurance company, no, yung din value ng building ipipa-insure mo. Tapos susunugin mo, nasunog yung building, magre-recover ka ng over-insurance, kukunin mo yung value doon sa isang insurance company, siyempre tatago mo sa kabila. Tapos kukuha ka rin dito, sa insurance hindi pwedeng tumubo because insurance is reimbursement of loss. Para masiguro na walang ganun, in a fire insurance contract, the insurance company says that you are only to avail of one insurance, fire insurance policy with me. The moment you get any insurance, other insurance, fire insurance, in addition to me, automatically, my insurance, fire insurance policy is canceled. Automatic yun. So pag nasunog ka at nalaman meron pang isang insurance, walang babayaran sa yung first insurance. And normally, ganun din yung second insurance. Sasabihin niya, naka-insure ka na pala dapat isa lang. Hindi rin kita babayaran. So yun ang warranty, dapat isa lang. Is it possible for you to have two? The answer is yes. Provided, pagpapaalam ko sa first insurance in writing na under-insured ako dito, pwede mo magpa-insure pa ako dito. Sasabihin to, siguruhin mo yung insurance mo, hindi over-insurance. Tapos sabihin mo rin dito. So the two insurance companies are supposed to be advised that two of them are covering the same fire insurance. If one of them is not advised, both of them, hindi lang yun nasabihan, both of them can cancel the fire insurance because of failure to observe the warranty on other insurance clause. To avoid, number one, to prevent double insurance and ultimately to avoid over-insurance which will bring about a possible profit out of insurance claim. Ngayon, sa marine insurance, diba, ini-insure natin yung barko. No? Now, pag in-insure natin ng barko, the ship must be seaworthy. Bakit? Because when a boat or a vessel or a ship sails, it is covering two types of danger or perils. May tinatawag tayo na peril of the sea. Ano yun? No? Yun ang pumapalo na nasabi natin, merong lightning, diba? Merong earthquake na brings about tsunami, diba? So, merong storm and other disasters, diba? Other disaster arising from nature. Yun ang kino-cover lang ng marine insurance, marine hull insurance. hindi kasama yung tinatawag natin na perils of the ship. Kumbaga sa ano, kung ang paglubog ng barko, it is because the ship is defective, it is not seaworthy, that particular risk is covered by the owner. Kaya yung owner, ginagarantiya na, boss, yung ship na yan, seaworthy yan. Anong proof na seaworthy? Bawat barko, minimum may dry dock, yung body repair. Dry dock, 3 years. At yung 3 years na yon, no, may certification yon nung nag-dry dock and then issued authentication by the Philippine Coast Guard. So lahat ng barkong lumalayag, dapat may 3-year certification of dry docking authenticated by the Coast Guard. Pag lumubog, wala yun, violation ng warranty against seaworthiness, walang babayaran ng insurance company. Second, yung mga barkong yan, no, hindi natin nakikita. Pero through marine maps, may mga may mga highway, may marine highway yan. Yung mga marine highways na yon, yun ang safe daanan kasi doon sa ilalim ng dagat, hindi naman pantay-pantay yan eh. May mga bundok-bundok yan, may mga coral reefs. Kaya gumawa sila ng mapa, available yan sa mga barko. Now, lalo na electronically. Na sinasabi, for example, highway number 1, papunta Manila to Cebu, safe yan. Highway number 2, safe din yan. Pero mas safe ang highway. May mga ganun. Tapos sabihin, highway number 5, hindi safe. Number 6, hindi safe. Yan. Okay. Sa mga tweed, when you enter into a marine insurance, no, ang usapan, susundin mo yung pinag-uusapan na voyage, normal voyage. Ang galing sa Maynila, sinasabi niyan, highway Y ang dadaanan niyan. Para rin sa eroplano, merong tower. Ganun din sa barko. Meron siyang paalam sa Coast Guard. Dito kami dadaan sa voyage na ito. Now, dapat hindi magdadiviate yung barko. The moment the boat changes its voyage, no? Nag-iba yung yung daan niya, nag-iba yung pupuntahan niya. Lumubog siya. That is no longer covered by marine insurance dahil hindi sinunod yung warranty on no voyage deviation. May exception ba yun? Ay, isang exception, kung nakita niya kasalubong niya may bagyo. To avoid any peril na hindi niya alam at the time umalis siya, nakasalubong niya, magtatago siya, no? Sisilong siya. Yon, voyage deviation, pero valid yun to avoid any danger. Yung second, pag merong isa pang barko na madadaanan siya, humingi, no, save your soul, SOS signal, lulubog, tumulong siya. Then again, say yon, allowed yun na voyage deviation. Yung minimum na dalawang yun. Kahit na nagkaroon ng deviation at may nangyari doon sa barko, that will still be covered by marine insurance. Finally, no, doon sa warranty sa motor vehicle liability insurance, yung authority over the vehicle. Pag yung vehicle owner na nagdadrive at merong insurance, authorized driver siya dahil siya may-ari. Pero pag may nagdadrive na hindi niya inauthorize, yun, hindi mako-cover ng motor vehicle liability insurance. Ba't mo pinagamit yung kotse mo? Hindi mo naman inauthorize. Pag naka-aksidente yan, hindi namin sasagutan. At ito pa ang pinakamatindi. Ito authority ng owner ng vehicle to make use of the vehicle. Ang pinaka-critical, authority by the government for that driver and vehicle to use the road by way of a driver's license. Kapag kayo nagdadrive, no, nagkaroon ng tawag dito ng damage yung kotse at ang nagdadrive expired license, that will not be covered by motor vehicle liability insurance. Ito, hindi ko in-expect bibigay sa CPA, madalas binibigay sa bar. Paano kung yung vehicle, no, ito yung Sunday Machine Works case. Yung isang may-ari ng kotse, pinasok niya sa shop for body repairing kotse niya. Tapos na ng kotse, Pero nandun pa ng Saturday and Sunday. Nung Sunday, yung isang empleyado nung motor shop, ginamit niya yung kotse, bagong-bagong body repair, kintab-kintab. Ginamit niya papunta sa Laguna para manligaw. Hindi siya umabot sa panliligaw, nabangga yung kotse, total wreck. E di nag-file ng claim yung may-ari. Nagpunta siya sa Sunday Machine Works, nasira ho yung kotse niyo. Ba't ganon? Di syempre, hahabla niya yung Sunday Machine Works. Ba't sinira? Pero para maging simple ang buhay niya, nag-file siya sa kanyang insurance company. At hayaan niya insurance company mag-abol doon sa shop. So, siya, bayaran na siya. Total loss. File siya ngayon sa insurance company. Sabi ng insurance company, hindi ka namin babayaran. Bakit? Yung nag-drive niya nung nabangga, hindi authorized eh. Hindi mo in-authorize. In-authorize mo ba? Hindi authorized. Therefore, sa policy, pag hindi authorized, wala kami utang. In-authorize ko yung machine shop. Bakit yung machine shop ba? In-authorize niya yun? Ikaw nga, hindi mo in-authorize yung machine shop eh. Yung machine shop, hindi rin niya in-authorize. Sunday, walang pasok nga yun eh. So, bottom line, hindi authorized driver. Therefore, hindi covered by insurance. Comprehensive. Sa comprehensive, may paragraph doon about theft. Kapag yung kotse ninakaw, covered by a comprehensive insurance. Dito, ninakaw ba yung kotse? At decision ng Supreme Court, ninakaw. Kasi pag ginamit mo isang bagay, if you use a particular property without the approval of the owner, you got the property for your own benefit, that is already theft. So when the driver, took out the vehicle without any permission and he was using it for his personal use, not for any official use, that is already theft. And the consequence will become, therefore, the liability of whoever stole the car. But since theft was covered by the motor vehicle liability insurance, the insurance company is supposed to pay the owner. Kung anong gagawin ng insurance do sa driver na nakabangga, problema na ng insurance company. But ang pinag-uusapan, will the insurance company be liable to pay the insured driver? The answer is yes. Because the comprehensive motor vehicle liability insurance includes a provision on theft. And there was theft when the car was used without any authority at all. Mga kaibigan, this is our coverage of one topic in the core syllabus, which is insurance. And in our categorization, insurance was included among the topics to be discussed under banking. Kasi yung raising of money and paying the proceeds is considered a financial transaction. So with this, if this is your first time to be watching my YouTube, these are some of the little qualifications I have to be lecturing to you. May karapatan naman siguro ko by way of my 3 experiences, the field of academics, in corporate management, and the field of law. And so marami pa tayong lecture. Hindi ko nadudugtungan ito para you can upload this already in YouTube and you will be able to already watch this. Marami pong salamat and I would like to already close this particular session.